Alrighty, here we go. My name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. What I do is help men be better at being men. We live in a world that is routinely and foundationally trying to feminize men, and that's not working for anybody. Basically, the end result is social Marxism. Any kind of Marxism is bad. Social Marxism is the idea that all people are equal. All people are not equal, as Atticus Finch famously pointed out in the great literary work To Kill a Mockingbird. Some women bake better cakes than others. And when it comes to men and women, there are tons of differences, and they are good things. They make us complement each other. They make our lives better for having that opposite in our lives. That's the idea anyway. I've written several books to try to help this. I'm not a famous person, so I can't make movies or write songs about this and try to hope it's going to make a change in the world. What I can do is write. So I've written books about this. I've got 3 so far. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help men be better at men, for women, for children, for their kingdoms, for their communities. That's the idea. That's what we're trying to get done here. Let's see, let's get that down there a little lower. So today, to that end, I started this outline a couple of years ago, and it's called Men, a User's Manual. Actually, I don't think it was that long ago, maybe a year ago I started it. And I might still turn this into a book. We'll see. But essentially, it's what I did was I pulled some women that I trust and believe in and think highly of, and I asked them to tell me what are some of their primary complaints about men and/or complaints that their female friends have about men, things they've heard a lot, etc. And I got some great responses. Most of these are pretty carbon copy, stereotypical, stuff you hear all the time. And what I thought the book would be, and again, I might still do that, but um, my thought was that I would take these complaints, each one would be a chapter, and I would explain why that is a common thing. So let's get rolling here. Actually, before I do that, before I start to get into the meat, I want to tell you this. As you would imagine, doing what I do, writing books about masculinity, traditional men, trying to get guys to be what they're supposed to be, not what social media is telling them they need to be, not what feminism is trying to turn them into. As you'd imagine, as I do that, man, do I get a lot of haters. It's all the time. I mean, everything I do on social media, especially TikTok, which I think is a dying platform, I'm not getting any growth there. And it's just nothing but hate pretty much all the time. There's a bunch of people talking shit. And I'm sure it's just kids and bots and shit like that. People just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And so that doesn't bother me too badly. But it has thickened my skin. It means that when people want to talk shit, it really just doesn't bother me anymore. And it doesn't, like, to the point where I kind of question it. Like, man, should this be bothering me? It just doesn't. So I get this a lot. I get women who try to tell me how to be better at being a man. And I think that's a real common thing. And to them, my response would be several things. The first thing would be this. Would you like me to tell you how to be better at being a woman? I bet you that those women wouldn't listen real hard to that. When I look at my body of work, I've got over 100,000 published words about masculinity. I've got 120 podcast episodes. I've had dozens of high quality guests, from psychologists to therapists to dating coaches to, evolutionary psychology experts, evolutionary biology, other authors, anthropologists, you name it. I've talked to all of them. So the amount of knowledge I've accrued here is significant. So yeah, I just, unless you can tell me what work you've done, what kind of research you've put in, I'm not listening to you. Okay, that's all it is. I'm just not gonna listen to you. I had a customer the other day, and I helped her out. They had a last minute thing needed done. I happened to have some spare time, so I went and I helped them rebuild this deck. And 3 weeks after they had paid me and everything was done, and again, all I did was follow their instructions. I did exactly what they asked me to do. She wanted to say, "It's too bad you don't walk your talk. You say you're this great man and you're not, and you should be more thorough and blah blah." You know what, bitch? You didn't take your husband's last name. So as soon as I see that, I'm not going to listen to you. All right, you don't understand the interactions between men and women. You don't understand your role in the world. You don't understand my role in the world. Um, and I was very, I thought, tasteful and diplomatic when I basically told her to fuck off. I'm not going to listen to you. You know, I get unsolicited casual advice about masculinity from a bunch of idiots who don't know shit all the time. So, yeah, and I usually just ignore it. But on this one, because I felt I had gone out of my way to help them, I kind of lit her up about it. But anyway, that got me thinking that I might readdress this topic. So let's get rolling here. Complaints that women have about men, and I'm going to try to clear up usually what's going on there. So here's a big one. He shuts down or goes away during an argument. I'm sure lots of women have experienced that. I'm sure lots of women have had that happen and not liked it. And I'll tell you exactly what's happening. This, in most cases, is a man being a very good man. All right. What he's doing is he's stepping away from a conflict to do two things. Number one, cool and soothe and try to ride out his own emotions. He's probably getting angry, upset, uh, shameful, whatever it is, some kind of negative emotions are happening. And he knows enough to know that those things are going to cloud his judgment and make it very difficult for him to be logical and have a logical or a conversation with you, a young lady or older lady or whoever you are. So he's going to separate until he can get himself calmed down. And during that time, he's also going to formulate a reasonably logical summation of what's going on in his head and what's happening. And then he will re-approach you, a good man will, and in a better state of mind, be able to let's adjust this, let's fix it, let's do what we do. This is what men want to do. We want to fix things. If there's a problem, we want to fix it, especially for our women. We're going to want to put that time in and help you out. And we can't do that. A man can't do that when he's all fired up and full of emotion. That's bad news because if you're all fired up too, now you got two crazy people and nobody's going to you're not going to get any positivity out of that. So that's usually what's happening there when he shuts down or goes away during an argument. Here's another one I hear a lot. Let's see. Let's see. When he gets home from work or on the weekend, he's in the garage. He stares at the TV for hours, etc. He seeks to self-isolate, even if there's nothing bad going on in our relationship. It's the same answer, essentially. This, for a man, is your reset time. So, ladies, I want you to think about that when he's pulling away like that, as it's exactly the same as you crying. Okay, so you cry out your emotions, you cry out your negative feelings, and get all that out that way, which I would argue is not terribly productive for your relationship, because to a man, tears mean equal badness, and it's really not good, and it's uncomfortable, and it's again, we see a problem that we want to fix, and it causes problems. Whereas him pulling away, that's just time. Okay, and time is important, I agree, but what he's doing there is essentially resetting. He's flushing out, letting those stresses of his day, of his life, of the things going on in the world, he's letting them go away. He's watching something that's mind numbing so he can just calm himself down and let that shit just flush out of him. Now, we don't have the benefit in most cases of crying that out. So we've got to find a way to get all those tensions and stresses out in a different way. But that's also a very good thing when a man does that. Okay, not for the whole weekend, right? But for a couple hours here and there, you should cheer that. You should applaud that. That's him managing his emotions, and that's gonna help you in the long run. Here's another one. He falls asleep right after we have sex. Um, well, that's chemical. All right. When a man ejaculates, he loses a bunch of hormones, and those levels in his body change significantly. And I don't know the exact chemical definition for it or exact reasoning, but I know this that it's a chemical thing, and it makes you sleepy, makes you tired, makes you want to. And if you don't just get up and start moving right away, you're going to sleep. And it's really good sleep, by the way. It's fucking awesome. So yeah, that's not him not liking you, not loving you, not wanting to cuddle. It's 100% chemical. It's a thing he can't control. Um, Yeah, so quit bitching about that, I guess. That's a good one. Let's see here. Yeah, another thing going back to the being out in the garage or staring at the TV or walking away during an argument. This is a big key. He's trying not to burden you with his problems. Okay. And this is here's another complaint. He won't ask for help. It's a stereotypical thing that men won't ask for directions, right? Well, that's him trying not to burden anyone with his problems. I can figure this out myself. This is a phrase that you learn from a young age as a man. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out myself. Okay. For better, for worse. This is a thing that men do. I will figure it out. And it's not a pride thing saying, yeah, I can do this. It's I have to. Okay. I got to get this done for everybody's benefit. Whatever it is, I'll figure it out. And that it's very, very clearly is not, hey, I don't want to burden you. Men seek to fix. Men seek to fix things, and giving you more problems, that's the opposite of fixing things. Okay, so keep that in mind too. It's going to be a natural tendency there on that one. Here's another one. Let's see. He wants his mommy. I fucking laugh at that one every time I hear it. It just makes you as a woman seem like a real cold bitch is what it makes it sound like. When I hear a woman say that, I think that, and then I also think this dude's a pussy. So we got a reverse polarity going on. You're too manly, woman, and he is too unmanly, and that's never going to work for either party. Um, that's what I think when I hear that. However, usually he does not want specifically his mommy. What he's looking for is femininity. He's looking for warmth, caring, love, approval, things like this and he wants it from a feminine source, and you're that feminine source. Okay, so get used to that. That's part of what you are to him. I mean, you're the polarity. You're the opposite of who he is. So, and his mom is probably the last time he really experienced that love that feels like it's not going to go away just because I made a mistake. You know, which a lot of women will kind of lean that way, sadly. Withhold affection and love and approval over a mistake until they feel the mistake's been addressed, which is that's some cold calculating shit. So yeah, he doesn't want his mommy. He's just looking for warmth, caring, support, love. That's it. Here's another one. He's not affectionate enough. I hear that one a lot too. Um, well, could very easily be that he's just dealing with his problems, or Um, maybe you have shut him down lots of times in the affection department. Maybe he's been shut down by a previous partner in the affection department, and he's just tired of getting burnt. Could be that too. I suggest you open up a conversation with him. That might help. Um, yeah, and maybe he's just consumed with dealing with his problems. Again, he's a man is not going to naturally want to share his problems. I mean, that's complaining, that's bitching, that's whining. That's not a thing that men do. Um, that's very unmasculine. You'd be called womanly for doing that, which is an insult, right? For a man. So yeah, try dealing with some shit. How about this one? He lacks masculinity, and again, I think that goes back to my initial comments earlier about women so casually feeling like they are experts in what a man is supposed to be, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Um, it just gets my goat every time I hear a woman trying to give advice on how to be good at being a man. I mean, you have to accept this idea that a man is never going to know what it is like to grow a child inside of him, regardless of what the liberals tell you. That's impossible. And so, if you can accept that, you can accept that he's never going to understand that. That's a massive fundamental difference between men and women. Then you also uh, can understand that there are things about him that you will never understand. Uh, there are things about being a man that you'll never get. And I use this example all the time to illustrate this very point, and it's the bullying situation. When your son is being bullied at school, um, a mom seeks to protect him, keep him safe, coddle him, for lack of a better term. And again, that might be kind of when you say he wants his mommy, he's looking for a little bit of that. He wants a little safeness, protection, emotionally, a little bit of coddling, just a little dose here and there. Okay, so a mom's going to want to do that. I'm going to go down. A woman's going to want to go down to the principal's office, give him a stern finger wagging, maybe call the other boy's mother, and deal with it that way. And she'll feel like she's protecting her son, and she is, I suppose. But what she's teaching him is that his problems, and specifically his personal safety, is the responsibility of others, and it's not his own responsibility. Whereas a man knows what it's like to be in a boy's locker room, a men's locker room. He understands the dynamics that happen in there. He understands what's acceptable and what isn't. He understands how to get by, what the rules are. And one of the rules is you better stand up for yourself. Let me tell you a little bit about that locker room, in case you don't know. Um, in there, boys are learning to be men. And one of the primary things that men respect in one another is a man's value, for lack of a better term, in battle. And that's the thing that happens with sports. All right, we're competing. We're trying to win here. It's not actually battle, but sort of. And can I trust you? Can I count on you? When the chips are down, when times get tough, can you take a little bit of shit and still fight? And that's what essentially men fucking with each other all the time, constantly insulting each other. That's what we're trying to glean from each other in those situations. Can you take some shit and not break down and cry like a little bitch? Or can you stand up and give some back? Well, that's a guy you can respect, okay? So if you're being bullied and you don't give it back, you're never going to gain any respect among men. And here's the thing that women do not know about what it is to be a man. Masculinity is conferred, it is sort of bestowed upon a boy by other men, okay? By older men, stronger men, wiser men. It has to be given to you from above. People who are more powerful, men who are more powerful than you, must bestow upon you their respect. They've got to, all right, I like this guy. He's all right. I believe he can handle himself. I believe he would be helpful to me in actual battle. Now, most men aren't actually thinking that, but those are the dynamics that are at work in our lizard brain, okay? So we're trying to figure out, is this person worthwhile? Is he going to be a help in a bad situation, or is he going to be another person I've got to protect and provide for? Okay, that's how that goes. So if you don't understand those dynamics, which you as a woman will never understand, then you can't understand how a man would take his son who's getting bullied and take him downstairs and teach him how and when to commit to violence. Okay, these are the things that men need to do for self-respect. Men need to do to be able to handle themselves in a world that is completely run by men. Uh, that's how it has to go. So again, you don't understand some things about men, and men don't understand some things about women, and that's how it is, and that's okay, and that's good. And there's not a problem with that, right? That's a very good thing. So yeah, he lacks masculinity. Um, again, you are probably spewing what feminism and social media have taught you, and that's the idea that man should be Paul Rudd, who self-deprecating humor, not very macho, not very masculine, will definitely take a whole day going out shopping for curtains and house decorations with you. Um, will sit and eat popcorn and watch the Real Housewives with you. Like that's what the media is telling you you should want, that you're supposed to want out of a man. But that's just horse shit. That's just marketing. Hey, what your core wants, what your lizard brain wants, young lady, is is an actual masculine man. That is a guy who's going to take charge, lead the relationship, and I'm going to get more into the details of that here in a minute, and um, be able to protect and provide. Paul Rudd can't do that. Maybe he makes a lot of money, congratulations, but without his cell phone, his subdivision house, and his leased vehicle, he's fucking worthless, you know? If anything bad happens, he's just another woman out there. He's just another person who needs to be protected and provided for. He's not really going to get your core going, not going to get your DNA wanting to reproduce with him. So yeah, when I hear that he lacks masculinity, first of all, I'm not listening. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Um, but even if he did, if he really did, there's really no excuse for it. Read my second book, Reviving Masculinity. Like, fuck, it's all laid out there for you. Maybe he's a guy who was raised without his father in the home, and you need some guidance. And that's what I do. That's what I'm here for. Here's another one I hear. He is distracted by and or addicted to his phone, Instagram, porn, whatever it is. Um, Also, no excuse for this. A lot of times that you need to look at yourself, young lady, and ask yourself, hey, am I just really insecure here? Do I just need constant attention from him? Is it really just bothering me when I'm not the center of his universe at that moment? Is that really what's bothering you? Or if he really does have an issue with that, I would tell you this. I did a whole podcast on it. Your self-discipline is your self-respect, young man. If you can't discipline yourself, you can't respect yourself. And that comes down to real basic stuff. Are you getting up in the morning? Are you working out? Are you able to control your baser needs? Are you letting your dick drag you around the world? Are you letting your just nonstop eating because you just can't stop yourself? You have the self-discipline to be able to respect yourself. Okay? You got to be able to shut down things that could be an issue. Now, again, a lot of women will take that to extremes. I was with a woman for a long time, 5, 6 years, who had a massive problem with things outside of her. I don't know any other way to just say it. Essentially, I always said other women, but that really wasn't it because, let's just give you some examples. We would go grocery shopping, and while I was unloading the groceries, right there in the grocery aisle, there's one side, there's a bunch of candy, and the other side, there's a bunch of magazines. Well, I'd be unloading the groceries, and it's like it's porn mags. It's like People magazine and National Enquirer and shit like that. She would accuse me of looking too long at the covers of these magazines that might or might not have had women on them, and then it'd be a giant fight, and it sucked. I can remember one time we were at Thanksgiving, and it's the Dallas Cowboys game. We're at her family's place, and I'm sitting there at halftime, and I'm talking to her uncle, and she made me move my chair because in the background behind the uncle was the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. I didn't even notice. Um, Man, we'd be driving, and I'd glance both ways when I'm pulling out, and she'd tell me I was staring at the jogger that was going by, a female jogger. I mean, I can go on and on. These things were ridiculous and outrageous, and really what they were was just a deep, deep insecurity, which was crazy because she was a beautiful, beautiful girl. I don't know why she had such a problem with that, but it was really difficult to manage and tow that around. I constantly was adjusting my life to not have her freak out about that shit. We got a house together, and when we were looking, we had to find one that had 2 living rooms. We didn't watch TV together. She couldn't do it. She couldn't watch TV because every commercial there was going to be a woman. Every TV show, just national broadcasts now. We're not watching like rated X or even rated R movies like it. She just couldn't stand. She couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle me seeing another woman in any way. It was crazy, really, truly crazy. And so a lot of times, yeah, we got some deep insecurities there. And I would tell her on her end, your self-discipline, your self-respect there as well. You've got to learn how to self-soothe on that shit. I can't fix that for you. It was there before I got here, and I didn't cause it, and I can't fix it. So yeah, the distracted by the screens could go either way. Now, here's a big one. I get this a lot too. Men who aren't loyal to their women in public. They don't defend her in public. Um, uh, Really what I see here most of the time when I hear that, I see a guy who really does respect his woman and really does believe in her and sees her as an equal and so therefore doesn't feel like he needs to protect her in public. She can handle herself. Like that's the ultimate form of respect, I think. You think about if the roles were reversed and we're in public and she's constantly defending him to other people. I would be like, shut your fucking mouth. I can do that. You know what I mean? You don't have to touch. Not. I wouldn't say shut your fucking mouth. I would say, hey, I'm okay. I'm a big boy here. I can handle myself. And you want to call yourself equal. Why do you need defending all the time? Right? Defend yourself. Right? And even then, maybe he's just giving you some good natured shit. He's just joking with you, messing with you again because he sees you as an equal. Could be. Here's another one. He doesn't listen to me. Now that could go a couple directions. Is it that when you're talking, he's kind of zoned out. That's one form. Another form is I've asked him to make these changes and he doesn't. That's another form of not listening. Let's address the second one first. I've asked for these things and he won't do them. A lot of times this could easily be because he's leading the relationship. And a lot of times what leading the relationship is, that's having the perspective to know where we're going and how we're going to get there. And a lot of times, if she's trying to tell him to be vulnerable all the time, like what's her name says in Daring Greatly, if I was blank her name, Brene Brown, he tells men to be vulnerable, and she's a complete moron when she does that, because what she's doing is taking female logic or female feelings and placing them on a man, trying to get a man to act like a woman does, which that don't work. Um, So it could be that she's asking him to be vulnerable and do all these things, and he knows that if he does that, she ultimately won't respect him. She might be happy right now, but in 6 months she's going to be have the ick and she's going to leave. So that's maybe could be him leading. Now, if it's the former, the first part, first example I gave you, if when you're talking he's kind of zoned out, um, well, how long are you talking for? What are you talking about? Is it an actual reciprocal conversation, or is it you just unloading? Those are two different things. So be aware of that. Now, if it is you trying to have a reciprocal conversation, he's just not paying attention to you. That's not good, bro. You gotta get it together there. You gotta engage with your woman. It's pretty standard. Yeah. Let's see here. How about this one? He's intimidating. Well, you're the one who said we're supposed to be equals. But the fact is that most men can, with their bare hands, take your life, and you can't do anything about it. And you can't take their lives back with your own hands. Like, you can't do that. So that's a fundamental inequality. Um, maybe you're intimidated by that. Maybe you're intimidated by his presence. Maybe he's very confident. Maybe he's got a deep booming voice, or he's quite tall, or all these things that would kind of fall into the category of intimidating. But again, let's take the scenario of the career woman, the boss babe, who is saying, "I want a man who's my equal, but he's got to make more money than I do. He's got to be bigger than I am. He's got to be a little bit older than I am. He's got to be smarter than I am, more college educated. I need a man who's my equal." Well, he's not your equal, okay? He is better than you are in basically every category, and so that's not your equal. What you've done is, as you've made more money and gotten this career and become more educated, your standards for your man went way up when you didn't get any better, okay? You got better in your own opinion, but as far as career, money, all that shit, good men don't want that, or essentially don't care about it. A lot of guys, it's a whatever. It can go either way. Like, you making a bunch of money really doesn't mean much to a guy who is your equal. Okay, that guy's already got money. He doesn't care if you have. Matter of fact, he'd probably rather that you don't have this big career that's going to take you away from him, going to take you away from raising a family with him. Okay, most guys don't want that. So you say you want an equal, but this guy's going to be the guy that you say you want is going to be intimidating. He's going to be more powerful than you are. That's just what it is. You want a guy who can protect you. He's going to be bigger, stronger, more able to, use violence, more able to be dominating. That's what a man is compared to a woman. You want a guy who's equal in emotional intelligence. Here's another one, kind of transitioning. He doesn't have any emotional intelligence. That'll be a complaint I hear. Well, not compared to you. No, he doesn't. Okay, you're a woman. That's your territory. You deal with emotional stuff. That's exactly the same thing as a man saying she doesn't have any physical strength. I don't know what the fuck the deal is. She can't bench press. She can't squat. She can't help me lift those big boards at Home Depot. She can't do any of that shit. Yeah, she's not supposed to, dude. Like, that's not part of the picture. All right, a good woman. Who cares? Who cares about that? Don't give a shit. Like, that's a thing that you're making up. Okay, and it's a thing that what you're trying to do is turn him into one of your girlfriends. And when you're like, hey, I want emotional intelligence. Now, a man who can understand himself, who knows enough, we'll go back to the very beginning here, who knows enough to pull away sometimes and get himself right, get himself squared away, understand his feelings, and then come back and report them to you. That's a good man. Okay. That's not lacking emotional intelligence. That's just a different application of emotional intelligence. And even though that's the case, That's not natural to him. He's had to make himself do that. He's had to learn it. Whereas for you, the emotional shit's normal because all women do that with each other. They do this emotional shit all the time. And guys generally don't. So yeah, not compared to you. No man's ever going to have the same kind of emotional intelligence that a woman does. Just like most women don't have the logical mindset that men do. And of course, they don't have the physical strength. That's just what it is. Here's another complaint I get. He wants to just fix things instead of listening. Well, I think that we covered that already. Yeah, that's what we do. We fix shit, okay? The fridge isn't working. I fix it. I don't want to hear you complaining about it. I just want to fix the damn thing, and then I've made your life better. This is what I'm trying. This is love, okay? I'm loving you in this way. I'm taking care of your needs, okay? Fridge is broke. Car needs oil changed. Grass needs to be cut. All that stuff. These are men telling you they love you. Now, I agree that they're not terribly romantic, and I coach guys in this way all the time. I say, if her dad would do it for her, it isn't romance. But that doesn't mean you don't need to do it, because you do. Okay, when you made that agreement to marry this woman, her father gave her to you, and what he was saying was, you now have to do the things for her that I used to do for her. Okay, so you do have to do those things, but on top of that, there's got to be the romance in there too. And this, this is for guys. So again, that's the rule. You got to do those things, but they don't usually count as romance. All right, romance is a text during the day. Hey, I can't stop thinking about that dress you wore last night. Romance is, um, taking her to her favorite restaurant. Romance is opening the door for. Again, I'm trying to, without talking specifically about sex, this is romance. Letting her know that you desire her physically. Um, that's kind of how romance works. So, yeah, some of the complaints that women have about men and me explaining them, hopefully this will help you as guys. My point always is here, like I said at the beginning, to help men be better at being men. And if you, as a man, can understand the things and have the sort of the jargon, the rhetoric I just gave you, when she makes these complaints, if you have a response to it, if you can say, that's just because I'm doing X, Y, Z, well, then that's going to help make your relationship better. It's going to help you be a stronger man. It's going to give you maybe a little bit more emotional intelligence. But yeah, that's the point here. I'm hoping that these things as a guy will help you. I'm hoping that if your woman is not understanding you at all, maybe you can let her listen to this podcast, and some of these things will make more sense to her if she chooses to listen that way. If not, man, give me a call. I'll help you. My email address is josminmethod@gmail.com. Reach out. I'll help you out any way I can. Or just go to my website, travisneville.com. Email's listed there. And reach out. I'll coach you the best I can. I don't charge for that yet. So glad to help. All right, my name is Travis Neville. I've written several books. These are the two most recent: Ideal Man, Reviving Masculinity, and Ideal Man, Mastering Masculinity. They're both available any place you can get books. This podcast is available any place you can get podcasts. I hope you'll do me the favor of liking, following, and commenting. I would love to get some comments. That's one thing I don't really get a lot of, except for the people who want to spread hate. I get a lot of that. But yeah, my name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. I hope that in some way this recording helped you to get your shit together. Have a great week.